Hello, I'm Cami Martinez, and this is vlog 10 for Communications 45, and I read The Rhetorical Act, Chapter 8, Obstacles Arising from the Audience. As we all should know, it is fairly difficult to change a person's mind, depending on who the person is. But there are ways to combat that. There's ways to change people's mind, and there's ways to get people engaged enough in order to change their minds. Well, it's not a guarantee you would change their minds, but an opportunity anyways. There are several sets of questions that you need to go through yourself in order to get in proper position in order to be able to change someone's minds. One of these is how are you going to get the audience involved in the rhetorical plan? Are you going to talk about something they're interested in? Are you going to talk about something that affects them? So like climate change or personal interests like comic books or something like that? And what does the subject of your rhetoric or your piece of media, how is it going to affect the audience? So like, what does it demand from the audience? So what type of attention does it demand from the audience? Does it demand the audience listen, watch, use? And what is the intent behind that media as well? Like, what does it demand emotionally and intellectually from your audience? And then another question is, what is your credibility in order to be giving the audience these questions and giving the audience this piece of media? So those are some basic sets of questions that you can ask yourself. And then from there, you have another set of things to consider. One, you have to consider your goal in this. The audience is not you, and you are not the audience. You must recognize the differences between the audience and the writer. And you have to not highlight them, but understand them enough in order to get the audience more engaged in the future. And once you know your differences, you then get to compound on your similarities. You work through your similarities and use those similarities between yourself and the audience, or the writer and the audience, in order to keep the audience more engaged. You capitalize on that. There are 4 types of audiences that you can run across or write to. You got the empirical audience, who you want to give this audience information because it's good information to know. You want to make sure these people know what they're talking about. And then next, you got the target audience. Audiences that are made out of demographics, so demographics like child, teenager, elderly, working class, Swedish, Latino, trans. These are all different demographics that you're trying to raid for issues or topics that target them specifically. And then you got agents of change, people who have the ability to change systemic issues or problems, or like anything to have real world influence outside of the writing or the piece of media through which your rhetoric is being shown through. And then the last type of audience is your created or constructed audience, an audience that doesn't really exist, could potentially exist, but who you're writing to nonetheless. There's many obstacles in the way of keeping your audience engaged. Audiences can suffer from inattention, misconception, and misinterpretation due to their prior attitudes, beliefs, and systemically induced thinking, and as well as lack of motivation from the audience, either through their needs not being met, like their need for attention, like it is not urgent to them, or their values not being met it holds no moral weight for them, as well as there being no inertia or like no movement or no momentum to keep them engaged in said rhetoric.